Okay, students, in this video, we're going to show how to use everything we learned about parabolas to turn that into animations and make a moving picture. So if you look at the screen here, there's 3 parabolas. There's more than 3 points, and I'm going to show you how to do all those things. The points are moving. At its heart, though, there's really only 3 lines, and so I did this a number of different ways. That's the shell of what we're going to do. But once you do that, you can then animate it. The same animations can be applied to ghosts, a witch, whatever things you want to download off the internet. Same exact animations. I changed them and used hearts instead. All 3 of these are using the exact same equations and just a number of points. So what I did is I replaced the points with ghosts, or I replaced the points with hearts. So if you can do one, you can change it to anything. It could be smiley faces. It could be anything you'd like. So first, let's open Desmos, and we'll walk you through it. I like to take the grid off, but we can leave it on for now. What we're going to do here is first map things out. And I think starting from 0 is a little bit easier. And let's say you want a parabola that goes like that and ends at 5. We're not going to really worry about the vertex yet. We're going to focus on the 0 and the 5. Those are our 2 intercepts. And our equation should look like over here, x minus 0 is 1 intercept. And be careful here. It's x minus 5, because positive 5 is what would make that go to 0. So let's do that again. I'll type it in. Y equals x minus 0, x minus 5. There's your two intercepts, 0 and positive 5, because positive 5 makes that a 0, and 0 makes this a 0. Now, it's going the wrong way. We want it the other way. All we need to do is then add a negative, and now it's flipped. So that's a pretty good-looking curve. Okay. If I want the same one, but I actually want it to go out a little bit farther and end up at 7, let's say, we could do that. And to extend it to 7, I'll change that intercept to 7. Now, it's pretty high there, so we're going to have to tame it down. You do that by putting a fraction or a decimal in here. So right now in the first one, it's a 1 right there. We didn't write that, but technically it's a 1. So to do it less, we'll go like 1/2 or 1/4, and that's a pretty good looking parabola. Okay, so that's the path it's going to follow. One will follow this path, one will follow that path. And so in order to actually get an animated point, here's what we need to do. We can't use this y equals notation. We're going to need something fancier called f of x. Now, we have 2 equations, so we can't call them both f, so let's call the other one g. Now, you can decide how you want to do this. You can do f, g, h, k, l, m, n, o, p. Any letters you want will work. It's just, for graphing, though, we have to have x be the variable. Okay, but for the name of the function, you can use anything. Now, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we get this to animate. We want to not just graph, this graphs all the points. We want to graph a point A and f of a. What that is saying, well, if a is 1, you plug in 1 into here, and then you get the y value, whatever it is. Okay. When a goes to 2, you plug in 2 into the function, and when a goes to 3, a goes to 4. How is a going to do all that? It does that with right here. You should see where it says add slider. Go and add slider, and what it's going to do is, as you move the slider back, you can see that green point going up and down on my graph. So what he's going to do is he's going to go up and down, back and forth. Okay, and that's not really what we want, so let's change a couple things here. First, you can change direction so he only goes one direction. So if he's shooting from 0, because my picture might be a cannon firing little Nerf cannonballs, or it could be a cannon shooting bunnies. It could be anything, smiley faces, whatever you want. What we're going to do is we go one direction, shooting from there, and we can also say just go from 0 to 5, let's say, and then it will only shoot cannonballs from 0, and when that gets to x equals 5, it'll stop and shoot again, and again, and you can change the speed so it's going faster if you want. Let's do the same thing with G. So I'm going to go back to this line, go ahead and hit enter. Now, same exact point, but now check this out. Instead of f, I'm going to put g. Now this point is going along the g function. And now we have two things going. And if we click here, we can take away the lines, but they're still going that way. Okay. Now you notice G sort of disappears because we told A to stop at 5. So G is stopping at 5 too. So you can change that by putting a different slider. You can put a slider called B. If that's confusing, just keep it as A, and it'll be less confusing. But B can now go from 0 to 7. And that can be on its own path. And so that one's going, but now that's going a little bit slow comparatively, so let's slow this one down. There we go. Now we got both of them sort of flying. But with A and B, they have different times. So A and B are just X values. And how you want to read this is these values here. That's the same as X and F of X, or X and Y. It's just running through all these values. So B is changing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's going, that's our X value and that's our Y value. And it's going to run through all of those. And so we get that motion there. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. Now, let me show you how you can save yourself some time. We want more equations. You're going to want about 6 to 8 equations. I think 8 is actually what we're putting on the assignment. So 8 equations, how are you going to do that? Well, if I want it on the other side, if I want a parabola doing exactly the same thing but going to 5 and going to 7, what I can do then is go here and hit enter, enter. I can copy the F equation, paste it. I need a new name for it. So I used F, G, H. Let's use H. And instead of -5, I'm going to change that to +5. Now that's on the other side. Same thing with G equation. I'm going to go G, paste it. Now I can't call that G anymore. F, G, H. I can use I. I'm going to use K. And again, I'm going to change that to the opposite. And all it does is instead of being over the 7, it's now on the opposite side. Okay. And now I don't need to do a whole bunch of new typing. I can copy this, paste it, but instead of F of A, I'm going to use H now. All this is saying is use my H equation now. Paste it again. Use my K equation now. Okay. Now the problem is these are on the negative side. So what we're going to want to do for those ones is try a negative value and a negative value. Because these are on the negative quadrant. I know this is a little bit tricky. But what is going on here, that's X and Y in the positive. With putting the negatives here, that's now on the negative side. Negative. It's going around this side now. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff there. But if we take off these graphs, now you got 4 moving points. Take off the grid, and it starts to look better. Okay. Now what you want to do to give this some life to it is you model these points first, and those are all shooting out of somewhere. And you go here to add item. And that can be anything you want. There's our background. Now maybe these are just shooting out of here. All right. And again, if we want to change those, let's get rid of that for now. But you can add that in the background just by going here plus and then add image. So these are the locations of different points. Green point, red point, blah, blah, blah. You can turn them off because it's getting kind of confusing. You can put extra spaces here so you're only focusing on one thing here. Let's focus on one thing here. I'll show you the last bit here that we're going to do. We're going to add an image. And for now, I'll just go ahead and use my image of the heart. Now, why is the heart not moving? Well, what the heart is, let's move him up here so he's closer. The heart right now is centered at 0, 0. What we want to do is take that center and center them at the green dot. So copy your coordinates for the green dot, paste them, and now your heart is moving. All right, and you can also change the size of the heart too. Oops, put it upside down. There we go. So you can change the size of the heart, and what we did here is coordinates for the point now go into coordinates for the heart. That's what's happening. Okay, so that's kind of a lot of stuff. I know that it's a lot of information to take in right there. Do one equation at a time, one thing at a time. Press play, and then now here he goes. The heart is on its own. And if we take off the XY axis, we just have a bouncing heart. We can have it go forwards, backwards. We can do anything. And so now it's a bouncing heart, bouncing left and right. Play ping pong with a heart. Okay, so get creative. You can animate pretty much any shape that you can find on the internet. So go, download images that you think might be cool and go from there. All right, have fun with it.